Snow White, the original Disney princess, sends the strong message about gender roles. But now, more than 80 years later, little girls continue to watch Snow White and assume her submissive role with a smile. Ariel gives up her voice for a chance at love and leaves her home under the ocean to remain on land with her prince. There is no compromise. Her husband gives up nothing while she sacrifices everything. Disney was criticized for the roles their female characters played. They promised to demonstrate women's intelligence and independence through Beauty and the Beast. The movie opens with Belle looking for new books in her town library. Later, Mulan showed that women can be just as strong as men with some determination. In nearly every Disney movie, the princess or lead female is left to wait around for her prince to come and save her. It's love at first sight, and they live happily ever after. However, this is not usually reality. Do these movies give children a false hope of happily ever after, or are critics overanalyzing?
Critics claim children are influenced by what they observe. With Disney being such a large company, do parents agree?
How has Disney affected your daughter?
I can definitely say with my daughter, she was influenced from a young age up to today. What I think is young girls think of themselves as princess from an early age on, and they like to be treated as such. And on the one hand, it's good in that they try to see themselves as pure and as somewhat elegant and as having some degree of power. But on the other hand, that degree of power is sometimes subservient and oftentimes dependent on other stronger role models that are typically males that you see in a lot of Disney flicks. One thing that I do admire about what Disney does specifically for girls is it gives them a real sense of a can-do kind of attitude. You know, it's rarely that the girls are seen as victims, and if they are seen as victims, usually it's through their own volition that they get themselves out of whatever difficulty they're in. So I think that's kind of admirable about Disney.
My daughter has always been a princess. She was born a princess. She's always wearing like frilly little dresses, and I think she always wanted to be a princess. And when she was little, she liked watching Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and kind of wanted to be one of those guys.
I don't think it had much of an effect on my children. My daughter would watch Disney all the time, and she was very sports oriented, so she was always in, volleyball, swimming, softball, hated dresses, hated skirts, hated all that stuff until she got to high school and really started going out with boys is when she started. So I don't think it had much of an effect on her.
How has Disney affected your son?
My sons, I don't think really had a lot of effect on them. They liked more the movies like Pete's Dragon and that kind of thing as opposed to like the little girly movies like, Cinderella and that kind of stuff.
Into Disney, I'd wait until he was older, till he could understand concepts in the movie.
What are your main concerns on how Disney portrays each gender?
Older Disney movies, they're cute, they're funny, but they really tend to be very scary. And I think there's a lot more detrimental images for women than men, personally. I mean, the guys that are the heroes that come through, they're just sort of there, they're figureheads. I don't know. The girls that have got real issues with the women in the movies. Yeah, I got problems.
Parents may have their opinion, but as a younger adolescent, do Disney gender roles affect your everyday life?
No, he didn't influence my life because he's a fake fictional character and he wouldn't he's not real, so I wouldn't follow him at all.
I don't really think Disney had too much of an impact on my life. I mean, of course everyone wants to be pretty like a princess, that's like the common girl intuition, but I never once thought oh, the princesses, I want to be just like them when I grow up.
Not at all.
Why?
Because I think I was egotistical before he came along.
Okay, do you think Cinderella influences anything in your life?
Not really.
Who is your favorite Disney character and why?
Cinderella.
Why?
Because people told me I looked like her.
Is definitely Belle. I felt like I could relate most to her. She seemed the most down to earth and she was smart. Although it's very stereotypical of me because she was the only princess that really carried a book around or anything.
With a dreamy
but she was also smart in the sense of choosing personality over looks in the end, which I think is the greater message that Disney tries to tell you that most critics overanalyze.
My favorite Disney princess is Ariel. I like that she's really pretty and her hair is long and she has red hair.
Favorite Disney character? Definitely Gaston, because, I love
Mickey Mouse, because I grew up with him like my whole life. He was in like all the Disney movies that I watched. He was pretty awesome
Hercules.
character.
Why?
Because he's strong and attractive, and that's how you get girls.
Why do you like Cinderella? She married a prince? Snow White? Why? Snow White has a prince?
Prince Charming, whose mere name evokes images of being swept off one's feet. Finding a person who knows someone who has fallen in love at first sight is a difficult task. But here, Disney is saying that finding your soulmate is as easy as putting on a ball gown and dancing.
Upon a dream that he's no Prince Charming, but there's something in him that I simply didn't see.
True love is about always finding your Prince Charming and pleasing your because it's kind of like a gentleman that you want to go out with him, like not that just for his looks.
Okay.
Which Disney princess would you marry?
Cinderella.
Why?
Because she's pretty and does what she's told. I really wouldn't mind if she made me a sandwich.
Belle. She's hot.
Ariel, because she is her own individual person. She like broke away from her dad and went up on land to find her Prince Charming. And I respect the woman with independence.
Do Disney stereotypes affect children's values? So guys are supposed to guard their girls? Yeah. What else? How do the prince and princesses look?
They look handsome and pretty.
Is that how real kids and grown-ups should look? What do you think about her looks? Do you think she's pretty? Yeah.
Boss.
So this is love. So this is love.